Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are for another football business video, not a football video completely. It's a football business video, and we're going to look into the specifics of the business side of things in football, specifically into broadcasting side. I've already, published a video on the account statement of Chelsea, where I've told, the primary revenue for any football club would be the match day revenue, the broadcasting revenue, and the commercial revenue. Amongst these three, now we're actually going to look into more of broadcasting revenue in specific. So when we think about broadcasting revenue, what we know is the money that comes in, right? And if the money is speculated to be 153 million per se for an entire year, we think to ourselves, okay, fine, that's the money that this football club is getting through broadcasting rights. But how is that money coming in? On what basis is this being allocated? European wise, as well as the EPL order. Let's look into them into detail. Thanks to Alex, actually. Alex was the one who, um, you know, gave me this idea to research it forward. So thanks, Alex, for talking about this. And then I thought, okay, fine, let me start researching it. And here we are. I hope towards the end of the video, you guys also understand how the broadcasting side of things work in the Premier League world specifically. Um, yeah, so let's get into it. A lot of interesting stuff, guys. A lot of interesting stuff. All right. So the first thing that we have to understand is broadcasting revenue in football is the amount of money paid to the Football Federation by its broadcasting partners. So, football federations means nothing but the clubs. Okay. To its broadcasting partners is nothing but TV platforms like Amazon, um, Sky Sports, NBC, all these broadcasting partners, who in return obtain the right to display or cover a certain amount of matches. Yeah, that's the thing, right? So football happens in the stadium. The club is getting paid by the broadcasting partners to broadcast these matches. Okay, and for that they pay the football clubs. So let's see how it is split across, right? Let's first of all think about the market players in terms of broadcasting, at least in the Premier League levels. The Premier League currently generates around 1.5 billion pounds per season from their shared agreement with its local broadcasting partners, Sky Sports, BT Sports, Amazon Prime, and BBC Sport. On the other hand, the league earns around 1.3 billion pounds just from overseas TV rights. So we'll have to understand two things from here. So when we talk about broadcasting rights, this is not just one thing. This is not just specific to domestic. It also has overseas. Okay. So the broadcasting right that we have here is domestic broadcasting right and the overseas broadcasting right. So the domestic broadcasting right can be done by someone like Sky Sports, BT Sports, and all these organizations. But for the overseas as well, we have other companies or other broadcasting firms that relay Premier League TV content in their channels abroad, right? So that's the overseas TV rights. We'll definitely look into the number on how much we are generating money or revenue through the overseas and domestic specifically. But this is the classification right now. Overseas is one thing and the domestic is the other one. Premier League obviously has numerous broadcasting partners around the world, from NBC in the United States to Being Sports in the Middle East and North Africa, as well. Being Sports is there, all the way to the Super Sports in South Africa. These are a few, right? We have other countries having overseas broadcasting rights as well. But on the English shores, EPL has four main TV partners who share the broadcasted matches between themselves. It's worth noting that according to the current deal, only 200 out of the 380 fixtures are aired on television every season. as the rest of the matches are played on Saturday afternoons, rush hours. And the laws in the United Kingdom prevent any broadcasters from displaying these encounters, which is supposed to encourage the fans to attend a match on a nearby stadium rather than watching it from the comfort of their couches. So, what it actually tells you is Saturday afternoon matches, usually they don't broadcast it. Rather, they expect the people who are internally available, at UK to go watch the game, right? So that is the reason why out of 380 fixtures, we only have 200 fixtures that is being aired. So, like we mentioned before, the Premier League's three major broadcasting partners are Sky Sports, BT Sports, and Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime, in the last few years, but then Sky Sports and BT Sports have been doing it for quite some time now. Additionally, the state-owned BBC is authorized to display all highlights and replays from every Premier League matches. So even for that, they have to obtain rights, which the BBC right now has. And what I'm going to actually show you guys is that different statistics around how the broadcasting rights is done. But before that, one interesting fact that we have to understand from how the Premier League broadcasting works and the rest of the European broadcasting works. First thing that we have to realize is the Premier League broadcasting is something that is different from that of the other broadcasting. What difference does it have? So, before we get into that, there's one more point that we have to understand. When we call broadcasting rights on the whole, what are we actually concentrating on? How is that broadcasting right further split into? They split into three sections. One is called equal share, okay, which is 50% of the broadcasting right. The second one is called facility fees, which is 25% of the broadcasting rights. And the rest 25 is called merit payments. That is, the 100% in terms of broadcasting fees. Of course, we would like to know what each of these mean in detail, and we'll definitely do that. But before that, I told you about this interesting difference between the European teams and the EPL teams, right? I'll tell you what that is. As for foreign broadcasting money, it's split equally between 20 participating clubs. Okay, now calculating foreign TV revenues is a much simpler equation than the other ones related to UK broadcasters, where it is split into three distinct categories. The equal share. Now, so, the equal, what is equal share, first of all? It makes half of the local revenue in the aspect that truly distinguishes Premier League from its European counterparts. This is where I was saying how European counterparts differ from Premier League. This statement will make it clear for you. In European counterparts, the big sharks dominate the largest chunks in terms of broadcasting revenues that comes through equal shares, leaving the smaller clubs with the leftovers. What it really means is that Premier League has this concept called equal share, which means that all 20 participating Premier League clubs tend to get a certain amount of money equally split across all of these participating Premier League teams, which doesn't happen in the European stage, where the big sharks, when we say big sharks, for let's say for La Liga, you might have Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Atletico Madrid dominating the most of the financials that comes into La Liga, right? They might get the most amount, but the smaller clubs in that league will be just left with, a small chunk of money. That's not the same in Premier League. Here it is split across equally for 20 participating clubs. And that's why you could see in Premier Leagues, certain teams are just content to just be in the Premier League. Their ambitions are not that high. They don't want to finish top four. They don't want to finish top six. They're content with being in the Premier League because they know the broadcasting revenue that they generate out of just being in the Premier League can keep the club afloat. All right. So, do you want to know what the value is that every participant gets? It is currently estimated around 34 million pounds. So now we know what is equal uh, share, right? Again, just to remind you, three segments in broadcasting revenue, one being equal share, the second one being facility fees, and the third one being merit payments. We saw what was equal share. Now we'll see what is facility fees. It's based on the number of matches broadcasted for every club throughout the season. What does it mean? Let's take Chelsea Football Club right now. They play a maximum number of games, right? Because they play in many tournaments. But it might not be equal to that of a Crystal Palace, who might not have that many games, correct? So, based on the number of matches that is being played and the number of matches that is being broadcasted for every club, it doesn't mean that Chelsea, just because they're playing so many matches, they'll get so many revenue. How many out of those matches are being broadcasted for every club? In this case, Chelsea. That is what determines the facility fees. But for fairness sake, every club receives a minimum of 12.3 million pounds if less than 10 of its matches were aired live. So consider in a season, if they play less than 10 matches, or if their matches are being broadcasted less than 10 times in that season, they'll get minimum of 12.3 million pounds for that entire year, only on facility fees. But for every broadcasted fixture beyond the first 10, a club will receive around 1.1 million pounds. 1.1 million pounds is the additional revenue that they generate after every match, after the 10 threshold, right? For the 11th match, they'll get 12.3 plus 1.1, which is 13.4. In the 12th match, they'll get 13.4 plus 1.1, which is 14.5. You get the point, right? So that keeps on increasing after the 10th match. Now we understood what is facility fees. So we've looked at what is equal share, we've looked at what is facility fees. And the third segment, which contributes the other 25% in the total broadcasting rights, is the merit payment. As the name suggests, the merit payment depends on the club's final position in the league at the end of the season. This is interesting, guys. Right? Towards the end of the season, where is the club finishing? So if you ask me, does the club benefit out of finishing between 12th and 12th and 13th in the Premier League for one season, just in terms of broadcasting revenue? The answer is yes. Definitely, they will have a bit of benefit there. So, what is that benefit? Let's look into it. The bottom of the table club will receive 1.93 million pounds. Okay. So 1.93 is what they'll receive if they finish 20th in the Premier League table, with every club receiving an extra 1.93 million for every higher position. So what it in essence means that if you finish, like let's take the current table, right? If Norwich is on 20th position, they will have 1.93 million pounds at the end of the season if they remain 20th. If Burnley is the one that is finishing 19th, they'll have 1.93 plus 1.93, which is 3.86 billion for merit payment. Let's say 17th is Newcastle, then it will generate 5.79 million, right? So this is how it goes. So as much as the table toppers, it comes to the table toppers, you could just keep calculating. 1.93 into probably 20 is what you will have for team finishing in the first spot or second spot, maybe Manchester City in the first spot, right? Having said that, it's time for us to look into some of these charts or the graphs, right? That I was able to, get for you guys. I thought, if you guys have something like a flow chart, you'll be able to follow it better. That is the reason why I have this flow chart. Give me a second. Let me present my screen and show you guys the flowchart. All right. All right. There you go. So now you have the flowchart. I hope I'm showing the flowchart for you guys. No, is it? Okay. That's my bad. My bad. My bad. Yeah, there you go. That's the flowchart. So this is what I was talking about. Premier League TV rights deal, money distribution. The domestic, all that we saw right now was in the domestic sector, okay? The 50-25-25 split. First 50 is the equal split. Second 25 is the merit split, and the rest 25 is the facility split. Okay. And this one tells you shared equally between all clubs. That's what we discussed. Determined by final league position. Yeah. And facility fee for televised matches. That's where we saw that after 10 matches, for every single matches, there's 1.1 million added, right? That's the thing. So this is what it is being said here also. This amount varies as teams are paid according to how many times their games are shown live in UK. Now we know the domestic side of things. What does it say about overseas? It's shared basically equally, 100% equally. Whatever money is being generated through overseas comes to the Premier League, and the Premier League ensures that this is being distributed across all the 20 clubs equally. Okay, so hopefully this flowchart helped you relate to it better. Now we know this. Let's move on to the next one. The next stat that I had, which is more about the packages. What is a package, first of all? So a package is nothing but not. So let's say Sky Sports is there. Sky Sports will not have the rights to televise every single match that happens, but then they would have probably bought a package. So what sort of package have they brought, and what are the package scheme that we have in the Premier League is what I'll show you guys right now. There you go. So this is 2019-22. The packages that we have right now. So package A for this particular 3 years is won by BT. Okay. What it says is 32 matches that is happening on Saturday at 12:30 p.m. is something that can be televised by BT. So BT basically have the rights for that. Package B was won by Sky Sports this year. 32 matches on Saturdays, but only for the 7:30 games. Oh, sorry, 17:30, which is like 5:30 games, 5:30 p.m. games. So package C is again won by Sky Sports. Sundays at 2 p.m., 24 matches per season will be relayed by Sky Sports. 8 matches on Saturday at 19:45 will be relayed by Sky Sports. So 7:45 games at Saturday will also be relayed by Sky Sports because they won the package C also. Package D gives you the right to relay 32 matches on Sundays at 14:30. Sorry, 4:30. Yeah, 4:30 p.m. That is again won by Sky Sports. Package E, 24 matches on Mondays at 8 p.m. and Fridays at 7:30 p.m. or 8 p.m. and 8 matches on Sunday at 2 p.m. Package F was won by Amazon, 10 matches from one bank holiday and all 10 from the Boxing Day fixture program. Because Boxing Day, you'll have a fixture congestion, right? Because all the teams will be playing that day. So that time, Amazon has won the rights for it. Package G is won by BT Sports, 20 matches from 2 midweek fixture programs. So the midweek fixtures, you would have generally observed that in BT Sports. That's probably because they have the rights for it. So don't take too much into account here. Like, I understand this information could be overwhelming if you look at it. All that you have to understand is that there are multiple packages that, oh my goodness. Yeah. There are multiple packages that comes into equation, and these companies or these broadcasting TVs, they go ahead and purchase whichever package is suitable for them, is something that they can afford, right? So that is what is the package system. And now I'll show you how it is being split across, right? In terms of millions, how the broadcasting PL rights is split across. It's so nice to know the numbers here, and you would probably be astonished when you look at the numbers. There you go. Main broadcasters in the UK and their investment in EPL TV rights. So we have this particular document right from 1992 until 2022. So these are the companies we did have Setanta during the 7-10 period and 10-13 period, but then they didn't feature anywhere after that. So it's primarily being dominated by BT and Sky. Okay. So what it in essence tells you is the million per cycle per TV broadcaster. Cycle is nothing but 2001 to 4 is a cycle, 4 to 7 is a cycle, 7 to 10 is a cycle. This is a cycle, right? Per TV broadcaster. So the number that you're seeing here, so if you see the 2019-22, if you look at 3,579 in blue color, what it in essence tells you is that Sky Sports have spent or basically paid Premier League 3,579 million, okay, for the 1922 season. 975 million was paid by BT Sports. In total, through broadcasting rights, Premier League have obtained 4,554 million as the broadcasting rights for this period, which is 2019-22 period, for the 3 years. And in essence, what this chart tells you is that this is something that keeps on giving for the Premier League. If you look at this trajectory, it's an upward trajectory. And in essence, what it tells you is that this upward trajectory has to do with the popularity of the game and the number of people watching it through television. As long as this number is high, Premier League will find it very easy to market the league. Okay, and that's what in essence is happening. That's a good stat to really look at. So now we've taken a look at that. What else do I have? One more thing, which is like a distinguishing point between the domestic and the overseas, right? And I'll show you the numbers in terms of just domestic and overseas. And then we'll go to the next one. All right, there you go. Domestic and overseas. Okay. Wrong one. Wrong one. Apologies, guys. There you go. So this is overseas versus domestic. And we don't have the data for 2019-22, but what I heard recently from one of the article is that this is the first year that the domestic market is equal to that of the overseas market. What it means is that the revenue that is generated by the domestic market has come equal or even more than that of the domestic market. Like the overseas market is more than the domestic market. That's what I heard in the recent statement that was released in relation to the broadcasting rights. But there you go. This is the numbers that we have. Over the last 25 years, you could have observed the overseas being less, but the domestic being high, and that is expected, right? Football as a sport is more popular in UK, or in and around Europe than the other parts of the world, and so the overseas rights are a bit less, and the number of people watching the sport also drastically will reduce as and when it moves uh, you know apart from the UK. Anyways, that's a good data as well to know. Nothing much to read from that data, so I just wanted to just show you guys, give you some context around that data. Another important or an interesting aspect of it was one pie chart, and this pie chart had to do with the age distribution, right? Who are the people who are actually watching it, right? Which is the market space, like which age group is the market space for these broadcasters? And it was actually interesting. The result will be interesting, trust me on that. There you go. The age distribution of UK sports TV audience. First thing is, this is completely domestic data. Okay, this has got nothing to do with the overseas side of things. 16 to 19, which is highlighted in blue, is 2%. 20 to 24, which is in this blue color, 7%. 25 to 34 is this 18%. 35 to 44 is this 15%. 45 to 54 is this 18%, and 55 plus is this 40%. So in essence, what it tells you is that as people grow old, the number of people who are watching the sport also keeps increasing. The only thing that I can think about which could be a contributing factor to it is because 45 55 plus, most of them are retired. Obviously they need to spend their time more on leisure activities, and I think maybe sport is one of those, and a lot of them are interested in the sports, so that is why we probably see the 40% increase there. But as people are young, they kind of get busy with their life, with their work and stuff, and maybe that is probably the reason why people sometimes tend to miss a few games here and there. And they also are capable of going to games more frequently, and since they are earning in the initial stages, they tend to spend it through for the matches and stuff. So maybe there are a lot of people who go to the matches directly, which means they're not going to watch the game back home, which will contribute to the club in terms of match day revenues, but not in terms of the broadcasting revenues. Anyways, it was an interesting pie chart. I was surprised to see that 55 plus people contribute to the 40% of the TV audience, for the broadcasting side of things. I was quite surprised, to be honest with you. But then, yeah, I was able to make, I was able to understand after that what could have been the reason for it. So, yeah, that pretty much gives you the data, right? How the broadcasting rights works, and what is the three major sections, which is, now we all know, it's equal shares, and it's the merit payment and the facility fees. Now, let's go to the Premier League website directly and see how much each club have been getting, right? Obviously, it's something that is interesting to know, right? We look at this data for the 2020-21 season, the just concluded season, and we'll probably analyze which club got more. Before that, I'd like to recollect you guys towards the Chelsea data that we actually looked at back in a month ago, where Chelsea basically reported the only revenue stream that has shown a year-on-year increase is the broadcasting revenue, which has increased from 182.5 million to 273.6 million. Just remember this number, okay? 273.6 million. But you won't find this 273.6 million in the Premier League revenue table. I'll tell you the reason why. But 273.6 million. Now, I'll share my screen. I'll show you guys the Premier League site showing the broadcasting rights. 2020-21 payments to the clubs. If you look at it, the table in essence is actually showing the same thing, right? Let's look at each of these columns. It says equal share. We discussed what is equal share. Now we know what is an equal share. Facility fees. We know what is a facility fee. Merit payment. Yes, of course. Again, for international, we have the same thing. We don't have facility fees for international, but we have only equal share and merit payment. Central commercial. Okay, central commercial is something which is consistent. I'll tell you what is a central commercial, but I'll tell you when it comes to that. And this is the total payment. Now, as expected, Manchester City, which finished first, got the maximum revenue in terms of broadcasting, right? And they got 153 million, close to that. Manchester United, 151 million. Liverpool, 149 million. As the table keeps, you could see this is in tandem or in parallel with the table that each teams finished towards the end of the season. Chelsea finished fourth, and Chelsea, of course, here you could see 148 million. Now you could ask me this question: what is this 148 million, and why is this 148 not in sync with the broadcasting revenue that was reported by Chelsea, which was 273 million, right? The reason why we have that difference is because this is reported by Premier League only for Premier League games. Chelsea played a lot of European games, and the revenue that was generated through European games comes as a separate revenue. But when the club reports it in its account statement, they will obviously add both the Premier League revenue and also the European revenue to actually project their total revenue. That's why you could see a difference. When Chelsea says 273, they're basically not lying in their account statement. It basically just means that 148 million has come through Premier League, and the rest of the money has come from European competitions that the club has participated in. Then you could see Leicester City, West Ham United, Tottenham, Arsenal, Leeds. As the table, it just gives you the complete picture of how the table is, and table got completed last year, and what's the revenue that was generated by each of these clubs in the last year. All right. So I think you guys found this video useful, interesting. I really found these numbers very interesting. And I hope you guys liked it as well for broadcasting revenue, how it is being calculated and stuff. I'll try and bring more content in terms of the football business. Yes, I forgot. In that Premier League table, I forgot to explain what is central commercial. Central commercial is nothing but your advertisements, your ads that happen in between your halftime, right? That advertisement value is your central commercial value. It's 5.5 million in the 2020-21 season, and that is consistently paid for all the 20 clubs. Okay, all 20 clubs get the same central commercial revenue. It's nothing but the advertisement, the revenue that is generated by the advertisements. So there you go. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for this video. I really like knowing these things. Hopefully you liked it as well. Until next time, this is Vijay signing off. You guys have a great day.